What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for The Real Housewives of Orange County Season 16, Episode 3. The episode was titled Gone Guy. Alright, you guys, so before we get into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and are not yet subscribed to the channel, then I'm going to need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. Hit that subscribe button, turn your likes, hit the like button for me. Please hit the like button for me so YouTube can recommend me to other people. Like button, notifications on, share the video, and you guys did that out of the way. Without further ado, let's discuss The Real Housewives of Orange County. All right, guys, so this was a pretty good episode. I'm gonna go ahead and get the smaller stories out of the way because they were boring. Jen is gonna be the first one. So far into this, we're 3 episodes into the season, right? And I don't know how I feel about Jen. Jen really, for me, doesn't have a, I don't know what her storyline is, and she's honestly, in her individual scenes, especially this week's scene, I didn't get much from it. It was rather boring. So we saw Jen in the first part of her scene. She was at home with her son. So her daughter is gone. I think her other son is gone. Her husband is gone. So it's just her and the other little boy there. Her husband, Ryan, FaceTimes her. He's on a business trip. My question was, does this man ever wear a damn shirt? Because, every time Ryan is on camera, he doesn't have a shirt on. So I was like, wow. Okay, I guess that's what we're going to have to experience all season long with Ryan. No shirts. But hey, so she tells her son that, your sister's coming back, daddy's coming back, grandma's coming back, so-and-so's coming. I don't care. But we then do see when her daughter and her mother come. Her daughter and her mother showed her this handshake that they have. Jen doesn't have a handshake with her daughter, but her mother does. Jen tells us about her mother. Her mother is came from England. Her father is deceased. She told us the story about how her father died, right? So her father was on his bike, and then there was a motorist that came at him, but they were coming from the wrong direction, and he flipped off the bike. And oh, damn, that is terrible. My heart literally goes out to Jen for that one, because that is a tragic way to go out. Wow. One thing that she said, she was talking about how I think her family at one point might have been close-knit because of her father, and once he died, her family kind of, so to speak, broke apart. That's kind of how it is with my family. My grandmother, my big mama, she was the glue that held my family together. And then for me and some of my other family members, it feels like after my grandmother passed away, the family just started to kind of migrate away from each other. Some of us are not as close as we used to be. It just feels, even with holidays feel different, right? Like I used to love Christmas and Thanksgiving because of going to my big mama's house, but now it just feels so different. But hey, we're gonna move on, you guys. Next up, let's talk about Emily. Emily didn't have much in this episode either, right? So we saw Emily. So Emily was talking to her, to Shane and the kids, right? And, remember, Shane passed the bar exam, but the only reason that Shane passed that bar exam is because they lowered the scores. The Real Housewives of Miami. Same heat, new shade, binge the first 2 episodes. I've already done that. And you know that I've already done that. Why are you sending me that notification? I just watched them. So Shane is getting ready to get sworn in, and Shane doesn't seem that enthusiastic about being sworn in. Y'all know how I feel about Shane. Y'all know I think Shane is an asshole. So then, Emily is talking about, her daughter, Annabelle. Is that her name? If it's not, I'm so sorry, baby. I don't like to butcher people's names. But I believe her name is Annabelle, right? So Emily is talking about Annabelle and the fact that, she's going to be getting baptized, right? I don't know if I ever remembered that Shane was, did they ever say that Shane was a Mormon? Yikes. That religion. We already know about that religion from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Yikes. Yikes. Let's move on, you guys. I want to talk about Heather real quick. Because in this episode, Heather actually kind of got on my nerves with this one scene that she had. So we saw Heather and she's talking to Terry, right? It's very interesting how she has all this energy for Shannon, but you have no energy for Nicole. Like, you got all this smoke and this energy from Shannon. Granted, what Shannon did was fucked up, right? We ain't gonna sit here and deny that what Shannon did was fucked up. But at the same token, you've been friends with Nicole for 6 fucking years. This woman sued your husband. Granted, she withdrew the claim, but she still sued him, and she's been your friend for 6 years, and she ain't never once said, "Oh my God, you're Dr. Jabro. I am so sorry. I tried to, my lawyers talked me into suing you, but I withdrew the case." Like, you were in this woman's home. You've been around this woman for 6 years, and you never once uttered the words that I was going to sue your husband, but I withdrew the claim. Like, I would reserve a side eye for you. But Heather has all this energy for Shannon. None for Nicole. She's talking about Nicole calling. She was so sweet and she was apologetic. Okay. Shannon sent you a text message saying she wants to meet up with you so that way you guys can have a conversation. And the text message that Heather sent back to her was snarky and rude as fuck. Heather, if it was me, I'll never see it in that you sent that text, that long ass fucking paragraph to. And if I was Shannon, I would have told her, you know what, look her, bitch. I'm trying to get off on a good foot with your ass, right? Yes, what I did was fucked up, right? But it ain't that motherfucking bad. Like, you are coming at me sideways, but you got a bitch in your house that, and I'm saying this if I was a woman. I'm not calling Heather a bitch, and I'm not calling Nicole a bitch. I'm just saying if I was a woman in Shannon's situation, right? I would have said, you had a bitch in your house that sued your fucking husband. Now, granted, she withdrew the claim, but you looking at me sideways. You should be looking at her sideways. The woman has been in your home, in your presence around your husband, knowing full well that she filed a claim against him, a lawsuit. Once again, did she complete the lawsuit? No. But that's shady as fuck, but you want to come at me. Get the fuck out of here. I would have told her, girl, you, and go to hell. Like, I'm trying to be cool and civil with you, but you want to come at me on this? Girl, this is not the end of the world. This is not the end of the world. And this is not tarnishing your husband's reputation. What would have tarnished your husband's reputation is if she went through with that lawsuit. Right. Miss me with that shit. That's what I would have said. That's just me saying if I were, Shannon. All right, you guys. So let's move over and we talk about Noella real quick, right? So we see Noella, right? So Noella is going to be the mediator between Shannon and between Nicole, right? Because she's friends with Nicole. So she's going to get them together so that way that, they can hash some things out and figure out where to move forward with things, right? So they go to a country club, right? And on the way to the country club, we saw Shannon. So Shannon got a phone call from Gina, and Gina wants to meet up with Shannon so that they can have a conversation about what happened at the party as well, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit. So Shannon gets to the country club where she's meeting up with Noella, and she's meeting up with Nicole. So Shannon apologized to Nicole, and Nicole accepted her apology, right? Now, here's the problem that I had with Nicole in this scene, right? So Nicole is talking about the fact that she felt attacked at Heather's party. And I'm like, who attacked you? Nobody attacked you. The only thing that happened was that Emily asked you a question. You got defensive about the question, and you went off on Emily, so Emily then came back at you. So I don't know where you're coming from, girlfriend. So I'm kind of confused as to how you felt attacked. But hey, if you felt attacked, you felt attacked, right? So with Noella, we also found out that James has filed for divorce for her, and he froze her credit cards. We're going to get a little bit deeper into that in just a little bit, you guys. So we're going to move over and we will talk about Miss Gina. So we see Gina. So Gina is talking to Travis, right? She's telling Travis that she's going to be taking Noella out to a cryo place, right? And she's talking about the fact that, when they were at Heather's party, she felt that Noella was hitting on her because Noella kept complimenting her eyes. Okay, Gina, I guess if you feel she was hitting on you, maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. Maybe the woman just thought you had beautiful eyes. I could be wrong. So then Gina talks about the situation with her and Shannon, right? and what Heather told them that Shannon said that they weren't trustworthy, right? Well, Gina, in this instance, you at Heather's party, you proved that you aren't what trustworthy because you did what Shannon asked you not to say anything. But what did you do? You decided to go take your ass over there to talk to Heather, a person you've only known for about 5 seconds, and spill the tea, basically, right? So yeah, you got the shit started, Gina. Like, I ain't finna let you off the hook with that. You got the bullshit started, so miss me with that one, Gina. So then we see Gina and Noella, right? So they're doing cryo. That is something that I don't think I could ever do. I don't like being cold. So then they talk about these reports about Noella and James, right? So James owes about $5.6 million in taxes, or it's liens, right? So Noella was talking about they had this house in somewhere in Mexico, right? And that she looked into selling the house because if they sold the house, right, that would basically cover his entire debt. But James, however, didn't want to sell that house. And she said that she and James were not in a good spot. Now, I've already talked about the fact that James has filed for divorce, right? At this time, James hadn't filed for divorce from her, right? So then we see Gina and Shannon, right? So Gina and Shannon, they went out to discuss, they went out to have their conversation, right? And then they were talking about Noella. At this point, when they were talking, the stuff had already came out about James filing for divorce. So they called Noella up to invite Noella out with them. So then Gina and Shannon had a conversation before Noella came. Gina, you're full of shit. And I get that you saying you don't want to hurt anybody, and I get you saying that the reason that you told, Heather is because of how you found out about your ex-husband cheating on you. I get all of what you're saying, right? But it was still foul and fucked up what you did. So let's not play that game. It was still foul and it was still fucked up what you did. So yeah. So then Shannon was able to admit that she was wrong, but Gina wanted to then continue to place blame on Shannon. I'm like, there's equal blame on both sides. Shannon was wrong. Shannon should have went into Heather and had the conversation with her. Gina, you shouldn't have mentioned that shit at that party. Like, Gina can miss me with the bullshit, right? So Noella finally joins them, right? And I really, really felt bad for Noella. So Noella is telling them that, James filed for divorce from her, right? He cut off all her credit cards. She doesn't have a bank account or a checking account. I was like, oh shit. Ladies, that's why it's imperative that you have a checking account, a savings account. If your husband gives you an allowance, what you should do is put that money into your, if you get an allowance or if you had money prior to him, I'm not gonna sit here and say don't do a joint account, but don't be so dependent on someone else to take care of you, because if you get into a situation where they want to leave you, you're SOL. Kind of like what Noella is right now. And I really actually feel bad for Noella, because with that relationship, that means that James held all the control with the money. Kind of what Erica Jane had tried to say about Tom Girardi, which I didn't believe it. But with Noella, I can definitely believe it. She's a housewife. So, terrible, terrible, terrible. So then let's move over and we're going to wrap up talking about Shannon. So I kind of went out of order, but it is what it is, you guys. So we saw Shannon. So Shannon was doing laser. Absolute. Oh, God. I mean, I don't want nothing injected into my face. Because I was thinking at one point, like, I might do some Botox and a little bit of fillers, but absolutely not going to happen. I don't like needles. Because I've been looking at my forehead and I'm like, oh, you got a line right there. You could use a little bit of tweaking. Not going to happen. So at this point, we found out a little bit about Noella, right? So Noella did IVF. So she had lost she lost twin boys, right? She has her son who's 2 years old who has autism. And when you literally think about the fact that she has an autistic child, and the fact that James has filed for divorce from her and cut her credit cards off, how is she supposed to take care of your fucking child? James, you are a piece of shit. Now this is where she was talking to, she had talked to Shannon earlier in the episode about her tax, about when she found out about the issues with the taxes, right? And, Shannon thanks her for being, by her side at the party when no one else was by her side, right? Shannon, love you to death, love you to pieces, but at that party, boo, you were dead ass motherfucking wrong. Like, you were dead ass wrong. Like I'm gonna continue to say, Gina picked a bad time to have the conversation with Heather, right? Gina could have waited till the party was over, but once Shannon found out that this girl was actually the person that she thought she was, Shannon should have went and actually had a conversation with Heather and said, Heather, I knew Nicole years ago, and you know, she did this, she sued Terry, XYZ, and let everything sit on the table, so to speak, right? But no, she didn't do that, right? She did not do that. She certainly did not do that. And I'm just a little, I mean, I know it's a reality show and we need a little bit of drama, but that situation could have easily been avoided. But it is what it is, right? So that's the episode, you guys. Wasn't really much in this episode. Pretty much for episode 3, it actually kind of seemed like a filler episode to me, because not much happened in the episode besides that snarky ass text message that Heather sent to Shannon, us finding out about James, and Gina and Shannon sitting down and having that conversation with each other. But you guys let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you guys are notified when I drop anything else. Share the video, you guys, and until the next one, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember, wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.